Howdy, and welcome to Buster's World. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning. We had some thunderstorms come through last night, popping around 2 o'clock in the morning. Dropped about an inch and a half of rain. Love a thunderstorm. Good old thunderstorm. Lightning flashing, thunder booms. Grandchild in the next room, waking up screaming, running to her mom and dad's room. I remember those days. Fortunately, those days are in the past, and that responsibility has been passed on to another. Anyway, yesterday I put out my 10th video, and the channel has grown to its first milestone, 5 subscribers. Thank you for whoever you are. I've tried to search my analytics page to see if I could see who's subscribing to the channel, and have no idea. But anyway, whoever you are, thank you for subscribing to the channel. And then yesterday I had another milestone. I had my busiest video, which is on the Russell M. Nelson talk, Peacemakers Needed. And it's a series where I'm going to break it down line by line, paragraph by paragraph, and share some of the thoughts and experiences that I've had as I read that talk. Now, many of the thoughts and experiences that I had were not the thoughts and experiences that I had when I initially listened to it. I have found that when I listen to a talk for the first time, like listening to it when it's being actually given during conference, I might get a high-arching, maybe I'll get a single impression or two. But it is when I go back and read through the talk and take my time and read it line by line and ponder and think about whether or not there's any messages contained within the talk for me. That's when I get my insight. So yesterday, in addition to producing my 10th video and growing to 5 subscribers, I actually had someone comment on my video, and I am so grateful when somebody takes the time to comment. This is a very weird thing for me. I'm sitting in my Toyota Tacoma pickup on a beautiful sunny day. I've got my camera open up to myself. My wife has said, I need to lift my eyes up and talk into the camera. But I'm talking to myself. I can see my face and my responses if I'm smiling. And so my eyes are always down below the camera view. And will I ever get good about looking up? I'm not sure. Because I find it at least easy to talk to myself, at least that person. I feel like at least I'm having a conversation, a very one-sided conversation. And so I think what I need is I need that. I need to be able to have somebody to look into the face and talk to. And so that's why my eyes aren't at camera level. But anyway, back to that first comment. And the first comment was from Bob Warner. Thanks, Bob. Tell us what you feel about it and how these things are likened to you. Some examples from your own life. And so here I am to answer that very question. So first and foremost, when I was reading through it yesterday, and I paused and I thought about that first line, I think I mentioned that I had a spiritual experience with it. And I'll go a little bit deeper into that spiritual experience. The spiritual experience was the Holy Ghost caused me to focus upon the word joy. And then I had the prompting to go see what President Nelson may have spoke about joy previously. And in that talk, or in that moment, a little query, and I came up to a quote from a previous talk that he had back in 2016. And in that talk, he talked about his description of joy. And there was a couple of things from that description where he talked about in the world, people may experience many emotions. They may experience happiness and any other number of emotions. But without Christ, you will never experience joy. That joy is not happiness. Joy is an experience that you can only receive. It is almost like a spiritual experience. And it cannot be manufactured by man. Okay, so why is that important, or why was that important to me? So in the background of that thought is I've been working on a personal biography. First and foremost for my children. I don't know if it'll ever be read by anybody else. I've had a lot of interesting experiences, at least I believe so. I think anybody that walks with Christ, if you walk with Christ and you turn your life over to Him and you say, Father, I'm willing to do His will, you will find yourself along a lot of very interesting paths. And so I've learned a lot in walking with Christ. I've had profound insights about my life before Christ even entered into it that I would have never had I not had that experience. Well, so the name of the book is The Pursuit of Joy, or The Pursuit of Lasting Joy is the name of the book. And I use my life experiences to talk about about these experiences that I just mentioned. Now, I have a playlist that's going to be a part of this channel, and that playlist is called Buster's Story. And under that playlist, I will be specifically taking snapshots from that book that I'm writing and share those experiences over there. The name of that book, when I first started trying to collect things from my journals over the years and other experiences that I'd had, was originally entitled Life, Liberty, and the Ever-Evasive Pursuit of Lasting Happiness. I know that's a long topic. And for many years, as I have been going through my journey, especially during the earlier years of my life, things would happen in my life and I would just be dumbfounded or befuddled by them. And I would always be in deep thought. Now, sometimes those things might have to do with things I was struggling with internally, weaknesses I was striving to overcome. And sometimes my wife would ask me, hey, what are you thinking about? You look deep in thought. And I'd always say, because sometimes you don't want to talk about what's going on inside while you're, beating yourself up over something, or, thinking about some struggle or some weakness. And so my response would always be life, liberty, and the ever-evasive pursuit of lasting happiness. Perhaps many of you have felt that way before. And, over the course of my life, and over the course of the journey, and over the course of thinking about this topic that I felt my Heavenly Father wanted me to write on, I began to realize as I would contemplate upon the experiences of my life and try to garnish what spiritual lessons I could garnish from them, I realized that it wasn't lasting happiness that I was looking for in overcoming weaknesses and sins. It was really joy. And because I could see in the midst of my struggle, that when you would have that enlightenment, excuse me, there would almost always come a feeling of joy and a feeling of peace. And I think that joy and peace are brother and sister. I think they come together. You know, when I'd feel that peace, and then I would just feel that overwhelming sense of love and joy that comes anytime you receive revelation. And so that is the experience that is related to that video, that I posted yesterday. So there are many other experiences. Some of them are too personal to go into, so I won't go into them. I may feel impressed at some point in the future to share them, but that's what I learned out of that first line, that contemplation, is that President Nelson's statement of joy and reading that paragraph was a confirmation to insights and revelation that I had received a couple of years earlier while when I was trying to come up with the title for my talk and as I was beginning to put together some stories. So anyway, there you go. Now, putting it back on anybody who watches these videos, put these glasses up. Sorry that they keep on falling. I tried taking them off yesterday, but then I have to keep on putting them on and off, so that I can see any kind of like notes or something that I may have had. But anyway, now I'm going to put it back on to anybody who watches my videos. What I would like you to do before you watch my videos is I'd like you to pray. Invite the Spirit into your life. Listen to whatever it is that you listen to, whether it's I'm talking about President Nelson or if I share an experience that I've had. And then go into the comments section and tell me what experiences you might have had now that I've shared mine. Uplift me, that we may be edified of all, that each may be edified. I'm sharing my thoughts, ideas, and opinions on here. So please go into the comments section and share something that you may have learned as you prayed before watching the video, as you had the chance to pause the video from time to time and to contemplate some of the things that I have said, and then share any experiences or insights that you may have gotten from that one line. So now on into topic number 2, which is really the primary purpose for today's video, which is you have been constantly on my mind in my prayers. That's the second line of the video. And so you've constantly been on my mind and in my prayers. So the very first, come back over here to the camera so I can see myself. So I can take off my glasses here for a second and just talk to you. So the very first thing that came to my mind when I was listening to that second line and watching President Nelson's nonverbals is that I know he's an honest man. He's a man of integrity. And in that statement, I really did feel that in some way he has thought about the members of the church and prayed for us. Individually, he doesn't know me, not personally. And but I felt when he said that, just like I said yesterday with joy, I really did feel like that he spends a lot of time thinking about the members of the church. And I was thinking about his schedule. It's like, how do you do it? 98 years old, how do you do it? You know what? I've been married for 40 years. I got my wife. I got 4 children, and then they have their families. We got 12 grandchildren. Recently, I got released from the bishopric, and I don't have another calling at this point. I think it's because we told them that my wife and I are going to be hitting the road in July and traveling for a year. So after I got released, I'm not going to be called back to a calling right now. But that's okay. I've never needed a calling to serve, and I'm out anxiously engaged in serving and going to the temple and sharing the gospel and ministering to people. I just love the gospel, and I love everything that the gospel brings into my life. So I still get plenty of opportunities to serve, and I'm grateful for them. But I feel like my life is packed full and busy. And I get a little bit anxious when something gets added to the stack, or if I feel like I have to add 1 or 2 more things into my day. Last week I was asked to speak in sacrament meeting. I could feel it's like, when am I going to fit that in? Because I already had things. I had a lot of things planned. I got called on Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were already planned out. I was already doing things. And but we fit it in. We make it work. But think about his schedule. He is the president and prophet, seer, and revelator of a 16 or 17 million member church. He's 98 years old. He has his own family. He's married, a second marriage. He's got children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and probably great-great-grandchildren. I know in my little small family, there's always something amiss that requires extra prayer and extra faith and extra fasting. In my little small family, if I lived to be 98 years old and I had great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, oh my gosh, I can only imagine the number of people who we'd be fasting and praying for and going to the temple and putting their name on the rolls of the church. Now, if you were just doing that at 98 years old and getting out of bed and eating breakfast and going and taking a morning walk and visiting with your wife and holding hands, at 98 years old, that might feel like a good day, but that's not his life. His life is dealing with the complexities of leading a 17 million member church, meeting in the many councils and meetings that he has to go to, meeting with world leaders, staying physically active and healthy so that he can fulfill the duties and responsibilities that he has. My goodness, what a busy man. And there are certain things as a prophet, seer, and revelator with him holding the keys that only he can do. It's just mind-boggling to me. Well, as I was contemplating that this morning, my mind was drawn to, this is the part that I really wanted to focus on. And it says, "And it came to pass, as the voice was still speaking, Moses cast his eyes and beheld the earth, yea, even all of it. And there was not a particle of it which he did not behold, discerning it by the Spirit of God. And he beheld also the inhabitants thereof." And this is the part. "And there was not a soul which he beheld not. And he discerned them by the Spirit of God. And their numbers were great, even numberless, as the sand upon the seashore." Isn't that remarkable? I think when President Nelson says, "I pray and I think about you," and I see the clarity of his mind and the vigor with which he leads this church at 98 years old. It is no doubt in my mind that his body has been renewed. and that holding the keys of presidency enable him in a powerful way to be in tune with the needs of 17 million members and to be aware of the issues that are plaguing those members, is aware of the issues in the world. He knows our struggles. He knows our weaknesses. I guarantee you that before he writes one letter down on a talk, he is thinking about us. And so that was my first thought. Now, you and I, for those who are members of my faith, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you may have had an opportunity to be called into a leadership experience or to have held a calling anywhere in the church. And, if you want to be successful in a calling, turn to God, seek revelation, and He will give you revelation upon revelation if you'll seek it. If you want to be unsuccessful in calling and kick against the pricks and be miserable all the time, rely on your intellect. And you'll learn really quick that any calling in the church is just difficult to do if you don't have the Spirit with you to guide and direct you. And I have experienced both situations. But I'd mentioned earlier that I had just gotten released from the bishopric recently. I was serving as a current first counselor in the bishopric. I don't have a calling now, and my life feels busy and my life feels packed. When I have been in these callings that have required an extensive amount of time, I am surprised at the number of things that I can still fit into my schedule, and my schedule feels no more hectic than it did without doing them. And so I've just, so like I said, the first thought that I had is that how the Spirit can come into our lives and can help us to accomplish great things even when we feel like we don't have an ounce to give. We don't have time. Where am I going to fit all this in time? That's the first question we ask ourselves when we get called to something. How am I going to fit this in? I've done it at a time. I was in the bishopric one time, serving as first as a second counselor, then as a first counselor. And I owned a business, and I was working ungodly hours, 6 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning, and leaving work and going to youth activities in the evening, and going back to work afterwards, or going home and visiting with the family for a little bit, getting the kids down to bed, going back at 10 o'clock at night to work till 2 o'clock in the morning to meet a deadline or something for the next day, and solving problems in my sleep. And it's just like, I just think of all that we did. And we were a very active and very engaged bishopric, and it's just like, how did I survive that time? I know I had a couple of heart attacks at that time, and I had to reshape a couple of the things in my life. It wasn't that the gospel was out of balance in my life, it's that my work life commitment was out of balance. I needed to fix that or not live a long life. So anyway, that's what I had learned then. So in the month and a half since I've gotten released, I was thinking the other day, again, this is all thinking about this, just this one line from President Nelson, is that one of the things that I've missed is one of the great things when you get a chance to serve in a bishopric is you get a chance to focus upon the lives of people and their struggles, and to find ways to lift, strengthen, and inspire, and to pray together in a council and have names come to mind and solutions come to mind. And as I was sitting there thinking about that yesterday, I was thinking about how much I missed that, because you just you feel like you're in all of it. And as soon as I had that thought, Well, as soon as I had that thought, I had a couple of names of people who, they weren't on my ministering list, but there were a couple of names of people that that the Lord wanted me to reach out, and went up and visited them, and had nice visits, and they were strengthened, and I was strengthened. We were strengthened together, and so so not only did I get a chance to have a spiritual experiences as I contemplated these things as I went. There were those two people that I went and I had a chance to spend some time with, but then I also got a missionary opportunity where my wife and I were doing our morning Come Follow Me, and there was a elderly African-American homeless man that was sitting out on the other side of the restaurant. My wife and I do it at McDonald's. That's our place. That's our happy place. Anyway, but we were doing our Come Follow Me, and we were talking about one of the particular scriptures, and you know, I was actually bearing witness to my wife about how in this particular thing I really struggle with it, and I struggle with the concept of it. And this man, he's like 30 feet away, and unbeknownst to us, he's listening to it, and he stands up and he comes over, and asks if he minds if he talks with us for a few seconds. And he said, no, sure, go ahead, have a seat. And we ended up talking, and he was saying that he could see the light. He says he was looking at us, he could see the light, and he could hear by the things that we talked about that we were believers in Christ. And then he shared his testimony and how he had come to Christ, and some of the difficulties and challenges that he had faced, and how he had ended up finding himself on the street. And it was a wonderful visit. We shared many great insights, and we were edified as a result of that. As much as he says he thanked us and said he was edified, and we shared a lot of insights, but I won't go into all those. Maybe I'll say that for another day. But anyway, when you're striving to do what you need to do, and you are willing to put yourself out there, as President Nelson does for us, you'll get insight into other people's lives that will inspire you to act, to receive revelation. Because this was all revelation, right? Everything that we experienced yesterday was revelation. It was in response to a desire in my heart to be more actively engaged in people's lives. And the Lord provided me a couple of service opportunities and a missionary opportunity yesterday, an opportunity to serve somebody who is a little bit down on their luck. And so that's what it did for me. Now, that's the end of this video for today. But again, what I'm asking for you to do for me now is if there was anything that I said in this video, or any of the things that I brought up prompted your thoughts and prompted you to think about experiences in your life, or brought something to mind of something that you need to act upon, please share it with me in the comments section below. If you like what I'm doing, it is my understanding, I don't know, it is my understanding that if you like the video, if you subscribe to the channel, if you share the content, click the share button and share the content with other people that you associate with, and if you comment on a video, that all those things affect the algorithm on YouTube and increases the likelihood that this video will be seen by more people. So if you feel so impressed, I invite you to do so. We're going to continue over the next, like I said, next week and a half or two, to continue to break down this talk bit by bit, and to see what gems we can pull from President Nelson's talk. I thank you for stopping by today. I hope you'll check back in again later. Have a great day. Bye.